Welcome back to the show. So I've just experienced walking the labyrinth.
How was it, GV? How was it for you?
It was amazing. It was very, very amazing. I started off at the labyrinth and I was unsure of where I was going to go. To be honest, I was feeling anxious. It felt like that maze that we were talking about earlier, because it thought, oh gosh, if I start this, is there a way out? How's this going to work? Am I going to get out of here? And as I continued to walk, I got to a point where it just seemed to flow. I started to get into the movement of what was happening, and it was a feeling of just letting go of the control and just walking with the process. And so as I continued to walk, I got to the center, and I have to be honest that as I was walking through my career history. So I was walking through, going through, my career background has been in healthcare for 2 decades. So this TV show is very different for me, and it's a completely different pathway than I ever could have imagined. So as I was walking through the labyrinth, I went through the sequence of all my careers. And when I got to the center, the question I started off with was, where is this going? Where is my life going right now? And I have to be honest, when I got to the center, it was that feeling of just dropping and just being. And I can't explain it more than that. It was just that moment of just being. And at that moment, I felt, GV, you're on the right path. You know, my intentions are in check. This feels good. And I have to say that my walk back was a lot more confident. It was a lot more comfortable. I wasn't feeling anxious. I wasn't feeling nervous. It felt like I had found something in the center. Now, of course, I'd have to go through that thought a bit more, but I get goosebumps even thinking of it now because it was just an amazing experience. And to be honest, I was skeptic. I was like, when I started, I thought, oh, is this just going to be a walk? You know, I'm just going for a walk. But I have to admit, it was much more than that.
Are you a first-time walker,
Yes,
GV?
yes.
So you've got quite a phenomenal experience, actually. First-time walkers are like you yourself. They're standing at the mouth of the labyrinth, feeling anxious. They haven't done it before. And adults really like something structured, so they kind of want to know where it's going and how they're going to get it.
Yes.
And what you've done, you were courageous. You took the first step. All you have to do is follow the path, and you found something. Most first-time walkers, they just find calm and peace. They're getting used to the lines. They're afraid. They don't want to get out, walk on the lines. They want to make certain I'm in the middle. And with children, they love labyrinths. Children, you don't have to give them any instruction. I put the labyrinth on the ground. Kids will run. They know where the mouth is. They know where the center is. They just run inside, and they're all happy. And I think, to me, that a paradox, I guess, of an adult versus a child. And adults have, I'm not using your experience, but as adults in general, we've lost that sense of curiosity, that sense of wonder, and just trusting the path, trusting whatever happens, whatever presents itself, there's beauty in it.
Yes, and I think there is even a loss in the sense of trust.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I was well into the process it was that feeling of, okay, I have to trust this. And you just made me think of another thing. When I was at the corners, it was like that when I turned the corner, it was the next career phase. So it was like I was turning the corner of something else. And Suzanne, I know you've experienced the labyrinth as well. Tell us about your experience.
Well, I've had a number of different kinds of experience, but it's always been great. The thing about a labyrinth is that the pathway is not a smooth pathway all the way in. Just when you think you're going in and heading for your key goal, something happens and you swing all the way back out to the edge, and isn't that life?
Yes.
Okay? So I've had experiences where I've walked labyrinths when I've been feeling really tired, and I can just feel the energy that just sort of rolls off, and I walk back out re-energized. I've walked labyrinths where I've had a million messages going on in my head, and they kind of turn off, and then I ask for the message that I need to hear. And I've been given pretty clear directions from my internal self. I really believe it's not like it's coming from somewhere else, but it's coming from my truth, my honesty. I know what I really need to do.
Yes.
And then I take it out with me, and yes.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Now, Suzanne, one of the things that I wanted to touch base with you on was we visualized doing this, and I just wanted to be really clear for the viewers that you could actually take your finger and go through this. It's not just a walking labyrinth, because that was I wasn't clear on that, and I just when you were talking about your experience, I thought, wow, I didn't understand that that you could actually have this physically at home, and with your finger you could be going through a meditative process.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
home.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
I have one of
Yes.
Diana's labyrinths, and I have it at home, and I use it that way.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Take it. It's designed to put on your lap, so you could put it on your lap or on a desk.
Yes.
Yes.
That is amazing.
It's lightweight.
And it's like having it at your fingertips all the time.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking about when I have a question to answer, and what I think what this gives me is when you actually are physically doing something, it gives me the space to think. Because if I have to think through a solution and I don't have a focal point, I may not be thinking about it. But what this does is it makes me concentrate on a focal point and walk through the problem, which is amazing.
Yes.
Just
You're
amazing.
you're right. The labyrinth, how the switchbacks are left and right, our society programs us to be more logical, more factual. We're using the left side of our brain all the time. Not saying it's good or bad, that's what happens. And when you walk the labyrinth, the switchbacks from left and right turn, it forces the right side of our brain, it challenges the right side of our brain to rise to the level of the left brain. So it challenges our right brain. That's where our intuition, our emotions, our spiritual self, that voice that's often muted in the business world, it challenges it to come up and rise. So you're getting holistic thinking.
Yes.
And that's a benefit of walking labyrinths.
Beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful. So some of the questions that are still resonating for me are, I'd love to hear, Suzanne, how do you define courage? Like if somebody what's your 30-second elevator speech for courage?
Well, the most recent definition of courage is integrity in action.
Integrity in action.
Okay, my definition is that it's an energy that gives you the strength to act.
Okay.
Other people have talked about having the heart to act. Okay, so Thomas Aquinas introduced the whole notion of persistence. So persistence is part of courage. The earliest definitions all have to do with it being one of the sort of the core elements that define, again, a man, but enables all those other wonderful traits that we all would love to have as part of ourselves. If you don't have courage, you don't have any of those.
Yes. And when you talk about heart, I'm thinking of the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Right? The lion goes in search of heart, and it's depicted as a visual as a heart, and he's going in search of courage, right?
Right, and he's really going looking for his own courage. I mean, he's got the courage of the role. He's the lion. He's the king of the forest, right?
Yes.
But he's scared, and he knows he's scared inside.
Yes.
And he keeps collapsing.
Yes.
Okay, so he finds his courage inside of himself by doing what he has known all along he needed to do.
Yeah, and now, Suzanne, if I wanted to, say if I said to you, well, Suzanne, where do I start? I want to start to be courageous. I want to find my courage. Where do I even begin?